Greetings from the morning, everyone. Or that's when I was writing this script. At least as of recording this on the next day, it's like a little bit in the afternoon, very early, right? Before we get started here, just a couple things. I want to ask that you might subscribe if you like this content, or drop a little thumbs up down below. You know how it is. Also, the point of this video is to convince you to play Balatro if you haven't already, if it sounds interesting to you at least. And as such, we won't be taking too in-depth of a look at anything in particular, and rather than explaining like literally everything about the game, I just want to go over the basics and why I think it's really worthwhile, again, if it sounds like you'd enjoy. These being said, let us begin. As I'm sure we all know, a roguelite is a game where you play through runs, win or lose, where a major goal is to unlock items which can be gained in future runs. Think of The Binding of Isaac, Enter the Gungeon, even games like Lethal Company, or the more recent Bloons Tower Defense games. Roguelites can come in a whole bunch of different shapes and sizes, from comedy to horror, tower defense to pass-based shoot 'em up, and everything in between. But one particularly common type of roguelite is the deck builder, where you, as the name very subtly suggests, create a deck of sorts as your tool to win with. Recently, or actually 15 months ago, but shut up, a new strategy card-based deck builder roguelite came out called Balatro. And let me tell you, it might be the best roguelite ever. Flat out, no jokes, no riddles, no guffaws to be had. Balatro single-handedly re-sparked my love for roguelites at large in these last few weeks, and I want to talk about why. After all, from the surface, it just looks like a silly little poker numbers game. And it kind of is, but there's a lot more to it, so let me tell you, because I'm addicted and really want to have something to show for that addiction. So here's if, and why you should, get Balatro, presented in 3 parts. First, a look over of Balatro's core mechanics, then how synergy, like with many deck builders, plays a core role to the game, and finally, of course, most satisfying of all, big numbers which do in fact go burr. As I mentioned before, it's easy to mistake Balatro for nothing but a little poker-based card game where you try to pass stage after stage. That's what I mistook it for before I downloaded it using Xbox Game Pass. Yay, Xbox Game Pass! But don't be fooled. Balatro is like a portal hidden in a puddle of rain. It may seem shallow, but it will quickly bring you to a whole new, terrifying world if you just dip your toes in. Yes, you do have a poker deck, and you play hands to score points. These points are based on 2 factors, chips and mult. When you play a hand, the cards in that hand add to the value of your chips, which get multiplied by the value of your mult to make what you then score. Simple, right? Your goal at any given moment is to beat the next blind, which is essentially a point threshold you have to reach to continue playing. For example, the first blind you fight is 300 chips, so when you score 300 points, you get to move on. But you only have a limited number of hands you can play per blind. There are also boss blinds, which add a special mechanic to switch things up, such as making your spades cards not score points. These are the bare bones basics of Balatro. But Balatro is also all about the little intricacies, so let's take a close look. When you beat a blind, you earn money for beating it or for having leftover hands if you didn't use them all. You're also taken to a shop after each blind, which allows you to spend your money. In the shop, you may notice that there are a lot of things you can buy. Let's quickly go over them, if not just to fill in those blanks in your mind for the importance of the shop. Most basic are the standard packs, which allow you to choose from a selection of playing cards to add to your deck. For example, you could get a King of Diamonds, and you add it to your deck. Then we have Arcana packs, which allow you to choose from tarot cards. But unlike the standard packs, instead of adding them, they give you some special effect. For example, you might be able to get some money, or alter your playing cards in some way, or even destroy some of them. Next, we can look at Celestial Packs, which give you the choice between some planet cards. Simply put, a planet card makes a specific type of hand more powerful. Let's say you choose Jupiter. Now, when you play a flush, your mult and chips will be higher than before for the hand. It's worth noting also that you can buy Terra and planet cards individually in this part of the shop, which is re-rollable. But then we have something more important than all of these. The true foundation of Balatro and basically everything we'll talk about in this video. Jokers. When you see footage of Balatro, you might notice these funny looking cards at the top of the screen just kind of hovering there and maybe making some text pop up occasionally. These are your jokers, which give you some kind of helpful effect throughout your run. Whether it's increasing your chips, your mult, or even your money, a joker can probably do it. Each joker has unique effect, the first and most basic of which, simply called Joker, gives you 4 mult. But many jokers have specific triggers, conditions, and ways to interact with other jokers. As you go through your run, you'll find tons of jokers which you can put together for silly or sometimes devastatingly powerful combos. This is the core of deck building in Balatro, and I think, and also seen in the Steam reviews, is the best part. Throughout a Balatro run, you're likely to see dozens of different jokers. When it comes to putting them together effectively though, a whole new world opens before you. With so many jokers passing you by, finding a good way to combine them is a surprisingly daunting task at first, but that's no reason to be afraid of the challenge. Like any roguelite, Balatro is all about trying and failing, learning more and more about the game as you go. And the learning in Balatro is really special. Not because you understand the basics better, but because you're always learning to push the envelope with better and better joker synergies. And that's what I want to talk about here. Learning Balatro and the art of synergy in it is genuinely super rewarding and fun to do, despite how long it can take sometimes. Even in the beginning, picking up those couple of puzzle pieces and putting them together is an awesome feeling, especially when that actually helps you go just that little bit further than before. Looking at a simple example, let's say you run into the Smiley Face Joker, which gives you 5 mult when you play a face card, and the Scary Face Joker, which gives you 30 chips when you play a face card. When you run into these, they'll make you want to focus on playing face cards, which all of a sudden are way more powerful than before. With even this little example, you can see how a lot of Balatro works, seeing different jokers, wondering how they work together, and finding new interesting strategies to define your runs with. And this doesn't just end in your first few hours of gameplay. I'd say it honestly gets even better when you get over those first few hurdles and complete a few runs. When you know what you're doing, but still have that world of jokers open in front of you, waiting to be unlocked and synergized with, finding those synergies which you haven't seen before is amazing. Especially when you learn how to take a specific game mechanic or facet of strategy to your advantage, which you just didn't know how to do before. It is worth mentioning though, just for a second, that there are certain strategies which act as a kind of meta. Because of that, it's hard to find anything truly new on the very top of the food chain, if you will, but here's the thing. I don't think that really matters that much. Although you may not be a sort of pioneer of Balatro mathiness, finding fun strategies which make the gameplay in a weird or different way is more than enough to create a well-enjoyable experience. Plus, with a new update coming out at some point this year, you could actually find genuinely new meta strategies when more jokers get added to the pile. Who knows what might happen then? All I know is I'm looking forward to it personally. Now, obviously, strategy is fun. Obviously, being a deck building roguelite, Balatro is all about finding those new things which end up being really good and work with this or that. That's just what a deck builder is. But what's behind that? I mean, sure, it's fun. but just throwing things together gets really boring without something to show for it. And I mean, okay, let's be honest here, you know where this is going. There is something to show for it. The way Balatro works is really unique among the various roguelites I've played. But to explain why, we need to look at the gameplay loop just really quick to explain how the progression of Balatro works. In a run, and this is explained in the tutorial so it's not spoilers, beating a boss blind increases your ante, basically the scale of the scores you need to progress over time. Once you beat ante 8, you win the run. Obviously, this is a goal in itself. Beating your first run feels great and acts as an early on milestone. But what I want to talk about is after that. After you beat the game 1, 2, 3, 10 times. When your goal might not just be to beat the game again and again. At this point, your goal becomes more interesting actually. And that's just to go as far as you can with whatever you have. When you beat a run, you get the option to go into endless mode, and I'm sure it's easy to imagine how that works. But what's really cool with Balatro is that endless mode isn't just, hey, keep on going and destroy everything in your path with your overpowered run. No, it's actually a really big challenge. Even going a couple of antes further is a huge obstacle to overcome, because Balatro's scaling is something really special, you might say. Even just opening up to antes 9 or 10, you'll notice that your goals become much more spaced out over time. Because of that, the difficulty ramps up really quickly and makes each new ante like a hard wall you have to clear over. But unlike in some games, that's actually decently achievable. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's super hard. I've sunk like 40 hours into this game, almost, and the furthest I've ever gone is ante 12. But that difficulty and the aforementioned learning curve combine to make something beautiful. Although it can be really hard at first, reaching that new highest number is like a milestone reached. Even just clearing that one more ante feels great, because you found the jokers and the tarot cards and everything needed to make it there from what you were randomly given. It's like one big puzzle which you push through one funny number at a time. That's why you should play Balatro, if you can. Not only is it super rewarding when you learn a new combo and take it as far as you can, but it also makes you think in new and interesting ways what you can try in the future. And at least in my opinion, that's a pretty great way to play a game. Of course, it takes time and effort to reach those higher antes and find those new combos. Sometimes, and actually pretty often I'd say, your runs can just die, whether that be off the bat or after some success even. But even then, it's hard to get that mad at the game, because generally you're not sinking hours into a run. When you try and fail, it honestly encourages you to come back when you can and try again to reach that new, higher milestone. Thank you for watching this video. I've been wanting to make it for a few weeks, but with finals and some other stuff, I've been busy. I hope you enjoyed it though, and if you did, that you might like and subscribe and all that fun stuff, so that you'll get to see more videos like this in the future. I again want to mention that this video really only touches the surface of what Balatro is though. There are lots of mechanics and finer details I skipped over for the making of this, just to keep it from being too long and complicated. But anyway, I hope to see you soon. I think a new FNAF World fan game came out, so I'm probably going to make a video on that, because I'm interested. But anyway, bye!